As you saw by the title of today's video, I want to talk to you about miracles. Something that I just picked up my book, Mystic Soul. I was wondering, what am I going to talk to you about today? And I just read this thing that I wrote years ago. It's on page 96. I didn't know I actually put page numbers. I thought I didn't put page numbers of Mystic Soul so that people just open and read. But anyway, there it is. And this is what I wrote. At times we forget our connection to the source, our inner partner, the soul, but it's always there, and with the slightest change of perception from all focus out there to inwards in here, we can perceive the sound of the universe, an unknowable intelligence leading our life along to its full fulfillment. Mystic unity with oneness, the soul, the source that is everywhere. And that's when miracles happen. Now let me tell you about the miracles, yeah? Because that's what I want to talk to you about a little today. Well, a few years ago, one of my dogs, Charlie, was diagnosed with not just an ear infection, but he had a polyp growing in his ear. And he required an operation straight away. And the amount was quite high, money, and I didn't have that money straight away. But what I do normally for him is I put all my change that I go shopping and so on, all the change that I collect, I put it into a box, and that's his box for vet bills. So off I went home, look into the box. And I didn't really, I had to, obviously empty the box and count it, because before, this is the days before they had the cash machines, you could just pour in your shrapnel and that machine will count it for you, and you do it at the bank. My bank, at least my bank at that time, didn't have that, so I had to have the little plastic bags and count and everything. So to make the story short, the bill was $506 or $7 or $5 or something like that. In the box was $503. Yeah, that's, that's, you could say, miracle number one. So when you're centered, when you are listening to the inner voice, and I was listening to that, and the intuition was telling me, start collecting the change for Charlie for his vet bills, because he used to be by far the most expensive for me, because for instance, his haircuts as well, I can't just take him to a hairdressing salon for dogs. He's got to go to the vets, and they had to sedate him and then shave him completely off, because you're so frightened of having a haircut. But anyway, that's sort of a miracle number one, if you like. Another one is of a friend of mine. She I think I told you this story before, but she was a single mom. She was bringing up 3 kids by herself, and often money was short. And her own intuition also said, just go into a newsagent, buy maybe a lotto ticket, or there's another one, bingo or something like this, yeah? One of those games, and it'll be all right. It'll be all right. And the story goes, she went, she bought the ticket, and what do you know? She had X amount of bills, and that's what she won. So, this is a miracle number 2. I'm pretty sure I've told you this story before. Another one is a long time ago. That was in my mid-20s. I was traveling through Scandinavia. If any one of you actually read my book, Where We Dream the Single Dream, I go into detail how I ended up in Scandinavia, in Sweden, in Norway. It was a dream that actually pointed to me that's where I'm going to go. And I was collecting information and so on. But anyway, there I was. This was 1995, 96, I think. Anyway, found myself in Stockholm and without money. Now, at that time, Stockholm was still having a water festival, and during the water festival, all the businesses are too busy to worry about having an artist. What I was working as an artist at that time, to paint frescoes on the walls. They said, "Look, come back later, after the festival, and you'll have a job. We'll get you something to paint something on the wall." But I needed the money like yesterday, because if you've ever traveled in Sweden or Scandinavia, it's expensive. Back then it was expensive as well. So pay for the hostel bed and have something to eat. I was running out of money really quick. Anyway, there I was in the hostel, just returned from another trip around Old Town, around the trip of in Stockholm, from restaurant to restaurant, asking people if they wanted to have a mural painted on the wall. And like I said, everyone come back after the water festival. It's too busy now. So what am I going to do? And as I would have it, normally when I booked a bed, I would stay in the same room. But something changed in the bookings, and they've put me to another room. When I went to pick up my key, they put me to another room and said, "Look, you've been put into this room and so on. We're sorry about it." And fine, that's fine with me. When I moved into that room, there was a tall, skinny guy there. And we started talking in the evening. Actually, how it went, oh yes, I went and locked the door to the room. There was about 4 of us in the room, and he didn't have a key because his habit wasn't to lock the door. My habit is always to lock the door. Anyway, I'm returning from town and I see this tall, skinny guy with a towel around him standing there. And when he saw me opening the door, he says, "Who locked the door?" I said, "I locked the door." And then we started talking. And as it turned out, he was there working. He's a Swedish guy. He's working there for on roofing, renovating roofs, painting roofs. And we started talking. And I said, "Look, I'm looking for work. I need some work." And he says, "I'm looking for someone to help me with work." Miracle number 3, lots of work, lots of money, and I ended up actually working 4 seasons, 5 seasons, something like that. So I went every European summer. I was in Europe working 8 months, sometimes 10. 8 months, 9 months, because come October it gets too cold and wet. Yeah, that's another miracle. So when you're centered, when you're asking the question, to the Spirit, help me, I need this, and you're actually looking for it, actively doing something about it, you will have help. Miracles will happen. Yeah. Another story. Years ago, I used to restore old cars, and I'd buy an old car, fix it up a little, and sell it on, make a little bit of money that way. So there was this car, and the rear lights or brake lights, one of them didn't work, and I couldn't figure out what's going on. I changed the light bulbs, and I did this and I that, and the fuses, nothing worked. There's something wrong, but something, I went home and I thought, that's it. I'm not going to worry with it. I'm going to stay with the question and just, I know that something, intuition is going to tell me what's going on, what the problem is, because I can't figure it out. So I went home, sat on my chair, turn on the computer. I'm just browsing and just thinking, leave the question in the back of my head. And suddenly a voice says, the rear harness is at fault. I'm thinking, rear harness? What kind of rear harness? There is no rear harness. Old newer cars, they're just one set of wires from front of the car to the rear of the car. There is no, it's not split into 2. But stranger things have happened, like I've told you. So there I am, had my tea, went back to the car, pulled the chairs, pulled the carpet, and what do you know? The harness is in 2 parts. It's joined with the plug. I've never seen it like that before. It was an old Alfa Sud Sprint, 1983 Alfa Sud Sprint. So Alfa Romeo, yeah. Italians do things differently, obviously. So if I went to the wreckers, picked up the rear harness, and all the lights work. So that's miracle number what now? 4? So I could rattle off these things to you all the time. But the point is, when you're really centered and when you are connected inwards, when you listen to what is coming into you, when you what should I say? When you open to what is actually coming into you, Anne Baring talks about it in many of her talks. If any of you know of Anne Baring, and she's Jungian. She wrote books, wonderful books like The Dream of the Cosmos and The Myth of the Goddess, one of the famous books of the 90s. She wrote it with a lady, I can't remember the other lady's name, the two of them authors. They come together to write Myth of the Goddess, but the way it happened is Jules Cashford, that's her name. Jules Cashford, I think so. And what happened was they met somewhere, I think might have been through a Jungian, because both of Jungian, through some meeting somewhere, and both had a dream at the same time to meet and talk about restoring of the temple of the goddess. Yeah? They did, where they went, they didn't talk about this to each other before. There was no reason for them to have a simultaneous dream, but they did. And they went, the next time they met, they started talking about, oh, do you know, I had a dream about restoring of the temple of the goddess. And the other girl looks at her with eyes like dinner plates. I too, I just had the same dream like 2 days ago. Miracle. They wrote the book together. The book was a bestseller. It still sells really well. I think it was written in 1991 or 92. The Myth of the Goddess. When you are so centered and you not so much just being centered, not like Zen, your zone, you constantly just have to be in meditation. I'm not talking about that, but just staying with it, being open to what's coming into you. That you will get the answers, you will get the miracles. Anne Baring talks about this story of a politician in Costa Rica who came into power. When he came into power, he changed, what he did is took the money away from the military industrial complex and put it into education. And he used to say, and when he was asked about this, when she asked him, Anne Baring asked him about it, he says, I might get 80 intuitions a day, and I act on all of them. So he was open to what was coming into him, and that's when the right decisions come. So that's important. There was another story I was going to tell you. Just kind of sort of slipped my mind at the moment. But another thing is like I said, you don't need to be so trying to get the answer. The harder you try, the harder the answer will come. You just got to kind of stay with it, flow with it. Don't worry about it. Walk away, but have the question in the back of your mind, and it will come. Miracles will happen. They happen every day. They happen every day. Oh, another one. A friend of mine had a dream for one of his friends. And this happens a lot when you are, open to the spirit, to the collective unconscious, to the unconscious. And he had a dream that if he does not listen to what the dream is saying, he's going to get into trouble with a woman. That is to say, not into trouble, but he will make someone pregnant. And he didn't listen, to the warning of his friend's dream, and that's what happened. He went he met a girl and he got her pregnant, and there was a lot of trouble after that because he didn't want to and she wanted, so he could say they couldn't come to an agreement, but the dream was already warning him. So there are people that can have dreams for each other. There's no need to, if you are close to someone or someone is really close to you, and if they are open to the spirit, they will have dreams for you, because you might not be able to receive the information. You might be still close to it, but they're not. So they will have the dreams for you. Or like, Anne Baring and Jules Cashford, they had the dreams at the same time, or maybe a couple of days or a week apart. When they met the next time, they shared the dream. Actually, in the dream was said, you have to share the dream, you have to share this information and start restoring the temple of the goddess. So they wrote the book together. It took him years and years and years, because there's a lot of research to write a good book. But it worked. And of course, Anne Baring to this day is, doing webinars. She's doing talks over the internet. She's in her 90s now, and she's still doing restoring the temple of the goddess. The dreams are so powerful. And another dream that she had, which is quite now famous, is she saw the goddess, the feminine, in her dream, and it was the feminine that was teaching her how to recenter. The wheel in her abdomen and the wheel in the goddess's abdomen had to be realigned together. See? So when you're centered, to be able to be centered, you have to realign your attention to what the spirit, what the unconscious is telling you. The two centers have to be one, and that's the cosmic axis, and that's the axis mundi, or the tree of life. Holy Grail. I was actually going to make a video about Holy Grail today, but I thought, for some reason, I picked up this book and I looked at that passage, and I thought, I'll talk to you about miracles. So there you have it. I'll probably make the next video about Holy Grail. But Holy Grail is, the story of the Holy Grail. The Grail is the cup that Jesus drank at the Last Supper with his apostles, used as the Last Supper. And then, of course, he was collected. In some stories, there's, Joseph of Arimathea collecting the blood and so on. That's the miracle cup, out of which, you have, if you drink from it, you will have a never-ending supply of whatever you wish. So the cup is that center again. It's that cosmic axis. How are we going for time? Okay, well, I got only 2 minutes left. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about, the miracles, the many miracles. I mean, I could rattle off this stuff. If you read my books, it's all in there. There's many, many more miracles. Oh, one thing before I bookmarked this. This is at the beginning of my book. This is what I wrote. Just at the first page, really, of my book. This is the prologue to the whole book, and this is the first passage, and it goes like this. Someone once asked me, name a book or a spiritual teacher that really transformed your life. I replied without hesitation, it was my own soul that initiated me into her mysteries through dreams, creative revelations and intuitive insights. It was she who changed my life, and with sadness in my heart, I immediately saw that my answer wasn't understood. And that is so true. That is so true. We're so looking for answers here and there, but we never really look inward. Okay, that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So until next time, thank you. See ya. Bye.